What's going on YouTube? It's Ben from Akrumi coming back to you again today with another 5-minute video, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. So sometimes when we speak with Amazon sellers about investing in their business, they get a little bit confused and it's a little bit hard to understand how Akrumi's unique model works, right? At Akrumi, we don't require any regular monthly or weekly or yearly payments. We don't have a fixed term of when you need to pay our investment back. And we don't have a fixed interest rate. Instead, we take a share of the profits of the sellers that we invest in. So sometimes that's a little bit hard to comprehend for an Amazon seller, and really for anyone, even our large investors in Akrumi sometimes have a hard time comprehending how that all works. So in today's video, what we're gonna do is take a little bit of a dive into my laptop, and I'm gonna show you what the Akrumi system looks like and kind of walk you through step by step how things work. And then also give you a real life example of someone we invested in and what their numbers look like on a monthly basis. So let's dive into the computer and I'll get started.
Okay, so to start, what we're going to look at is a real wholesale FBA seller that we at Akrumi are invested in and have been invested in for about a year. I think we first invested them back in August of 2020, so about a year working with them. Now, what you're looking at on the screen right now is some stuff blurred out for privacy purposes, obviously, because this is a real seller that's selling on Amazon actively every single day. So what you're looking at on your screen, though, is what we call our metric screen. So you, as a seller, will also have access to this screen. And this screen is pulling data up to the minute from Amazon through a secure connection with Amazon's API, and from Sterling National Bank, which is the bank that we work with. So over here on the left side, you see what we call account value. And this is pretty much the asset value of this seller as of today. So you can see the bank balance for this seller was a little over $5,000 as reported directly from Sterling National Bank today. The authorized inventory value at cost was $110,000. And what that number is the number of units a seller has either at FBA or at an approved 3PL times the cost that they paid for that unit, those units. So this seller has $110,000 worth of inventory at cost. And then Amazon owes them $27,000, that Amazon balance that for most of you gets paid out every 2 weeks. Amazon owes them $27,000. And then we also track the pending ACHs. So most of you probably know when Amazon says they paid you, usually it takes a few days for you actually to receive the payment because they send it with an ACH. So we track those payments and make sure that they actually show up in the bank account. So if you total up your bank balance plus your authorized inventory value at cost, plus the money that Amazon owes you, you get what we at Akrumi call qualified capital. And qualified capital is essentially the asset value of your business. So if we come over here to the next tab, you're going to see Akrumi capital. So the other key metric in determining what the profit share is with Akrumi is Akrumi capital. So qualified capital, basically the total assets in your business, and Akrumi capital is Akrumi's share of those assets in your business. So you can see here, initially with this seller, we invested $10,000. Over time, we invested another $27,000. And in the year that we've been invested in them, they paid back a total of $10,546. And they made those payments back to us when it was convenient for them. We never told them you need to pay us. They paid us whenever it was convenient for them and their business. And and then we have our accrued profit, or the share of profit that we've made to date in working with that seller. If you total those all up, you get Akrumi's current capital as of today, which is $65,000. So of the $142,000 in assets in this business, Akrumi represents $65,000 of that. Now, that 65 represents about 45% of the assets in the business. And that means that if Akrumi represents 45% of the assets in the business, Akrumi earns half of that on the profit share. So in this case, Akrumi's capital represents 45%. Akrumi's profit share would be half of that, or about 23% of the profits for this month. So as you can see this month so far, the sellers generated about $4,800 in profit, and Accrumi's share of that profit is a little over $1,000. Now, the big thing with this $1,000 is the seller is not going to have to pay us this $1,000 at the end of the month or ever, really, for as long as it makes sense for them and their business. So what happens with this $1,000 is at the end of the month, we basically lock it in and say this was Accrumi's share of the profit for the month based on how much percent of the assets in the business Accrumi represented. And we take that number for the month and we can just add it to accrued capital, and it slightly will increase Accrumi's capital percent. So right now it says $65,000. It'll be $66,000 when they decide to roll that $1,000 over. And they can essentially do that indefinitely. We have a lot of sellers that we've worked with who don't pay us anything for months or even years in some cases. And basically what they're just doing is they're accruing our profit and compounding our profit and using our share of the profit to go out and buy more inventory and grow and continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that is really how we determine and track Accrumi's share of the monthly profit. So the other thing I just want to show you with this seller is how they use their ability to not have to pay us, to not have to pay Accrumi, and to reinvest all of their profits to grow really quickly in the year that we work with them. So I'm going to just bring up a duplicate of this screen and make a little side-by-side. Okay, so what you can see here is we have a little side-by-side of this merchant's metric screen that we call it at Accrumi, the metric screen, pulled up side by side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to when we started with this merchant. So I think you'll recall I said we started with them sometime in 2020. Okay, so August 2nd, 2020 was when we initially invested $10,000 in this merchant. And just so you can get a little bit of a better sense of how they were doing, I'm going to take you to the 1st of September. And you can see here that on the 1st of September, they had $32,000 in assets in their business. So they had $4,000 in cash, $11,000 in inventory, and about $15,000 in Amazon receivables. So they had $32,000 of assets in their business. And today, 1 year later, after working with Accrumi, they have $142,000 of assets in their business, $5,000 in cash, $110,000 in inventory, and Amazon owes them almost $30,000. So they basically were able to go 4x the assets that they have in their business in 1 year time while working with Accrumi and not making payments to Accrumi on a regular schedule. Now, the other thing that I think is really interesting and important to look at is you can see here that in October, their total profit was $2,500. So not a ton of money, not enough money to live on and grow a business with, not a full-time income. So $2,500 in their first month working with Accrumi, and their profit last month in October of 2021. So 1 year later, their 1 month profit was $17,000. So their business went from $2,500 a month in profit to $17,000 per month in profit. And $17,000 a month is a pretty good income. You can live a good life and do fun things and spend money on all that stuff we talked about earlier. So something to think about. Now, this is an FBA wholesale seller, and we're going to look at a private label seller in a second, but the ability to not have to make payments and to put all of your money back into your business allowed this person to go from a mediocre side hustle to a $200,000 profit per year business in 1 year. And it's possible when you don't have to take money out all the time to pay back investors or to pay yourself, and you could just dump all of that money back into the business and grow. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change gears real quick, and we're going to show you a similar example, but this time with a private label seller who is selling their own brand name products. All right, so we got another private label, another seller here, real seller, up-to-date information as of, I guess if you're watching this now, 2 days ago. And this is on November 14th, 2021. This is what their numbers look like. So we're going to, again, blur out some of the sensitive information because they are a real active seller selling on Amazon every single day. But if you come over here to their account value, you can see that they have about $1,500 in the bank, about $10,000 in inventory, and Amazon owes them about $20,000. They have $10,000 in their Amazon balance, and it looks like Amazon just sent them a little over $9,000 and it hasn't gotten to the bank account yet. So we're tracking it and making sure it shows up. So their account value as of today is about $30,000 for this private label seller. Now, if we come over to Accrueme Capital, you can see Accrueme started, we only invested $4,700 in this seller. We invested an additional $16,000 over time. They made the choice to pay us back a pretty good chunk of that, and we've accrued some profit along the way, which leaves Accrueme Capital as of today at $12,500. That $12,500 represents about 40% of the current $30,000 in assets in the business. Again, at Accrueme, we're not going to say, okay, well, we're 40% of the assets, we get 40% of the profits. No, instead, what we do is we say, okay, take that 40, divide it by 2, we get 20% of the profits. So you can see last month, the seller made almost $10,000 in profit. This month so far, they've made about $2,700 in profit, and Accrueme's share of that would be $768 in profit. And what we're doing, right, is we're just tracking that 768, and at the end of the month, the seller can either decide to pay us that profit or pay us back more than that profit, some of our principal as well, or they can just say, let it accrue, take that 768, add it on to what I owe you, and keep it rolling. And that's what most sellers choose to do most of the time, especially when they have opportunities to invest in. So that's what this seller chooses to do, and same with the other seller I showed you earlier. But anyway, that's how the Accrueme part of it works. But now let me just show you this seller's growth as well, like we did before with the side-by-side. So let me pull that up. All right, so now we have two screens pulled up, and this is something also, if you're a merchant and you work with Accrueme, you have access to all this. You can log in and see all of your numbers. So right now we're looking at November 14th, 2021. And let's go back in time to when we started with this seller, which I also think was about a year ago. Yeah. So you can see we initially invested with this seller in September 2020 or September 30th, 2020. So really almost a year ago to date, a year and 15 days here. So if we come over here and let's just so you can see what the months looked like, let's go to October 31st. So you kind of have a full month of history in there and compare that to today. So in October 31st, 2020, they had about $15,000 or $14,000 of assets in their business, and Accrueme had $4,700 invested in their business. Their profit for the previous month, for September, was $40, and their profit in October 2020 was $106.33. So when we started and we invested $4,700 in the seller, their take-home profit for their business was $106. So not a lot of money, definitely not enough money to survive and live off of and have a real business. Now, fast forward to a year from now, this seller has about $30,000 worth of assets in their business. So they doubled their asset pool. And last month, so in October 2021, exactly 1 year from what we're looking at on the left side of the screen, they went from $106 in profit a year ago, and that was their 1 month profit, to last month in 2021, October 2021, last month generating $9,455 in profit. So they basically infinitely or exponentially increased their profit in the year that they've been working with Accrueme. And $10,000, obviously they want to grow it bigger and make more money, but now that's a real business that they can afford to pay themselves and live and grow, instead of a year ago today when they were making $100 in profit. So that's really it. That's just what we wanted to show you, as a quick little side-by-side. And these are real numbers, just to keep in mind. That's why we had to record this and blur some stuff out. But these are real numbers of real sellers that we've invested in, and there are a ton of other stories just like this. And they're able to use our capital and our unique structure, where they're not required to constantly pay us, to be able to reinvest all of their resources and all of their profits and all of their investors' share of the profits back into the business to grow it exponentially and generate more profit for themselves.
All right, so that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you thought it was helpful, hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to post a video every week. So hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get notified. If you're an Amazon seller looking for funding and now maybe you have a better understanding of the advantages of working with Accrueme, there's going to be a link down in the description. You can fill out our 3-minute instant funding application, and basically all you're doing is answering a few questions and we'll give you an estimate of how much we can invest in your business. If you think that amount of money would be helpful, then you can take things to the next step. But with that application, there's no risk, there's no obligation, no credit check, no personal information, nothing like that. We're just trying to get a handle of where you are with your business and basically instantly tell you if we can invest and how much. So time saver for you, time saver for us. Now, I know that video could have been a little bit confusing, so if you do have any questions, just drop them down in the comments and I will personally respond to every single one. Thank you again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.